stole from my mom, who was a single mother at the time. I stole from her just to buy drugs. If one should tell you that I could be addicted to something, even as bad as drugs, you wouldn't believe it, because I was the churchy kind of guy. Bro, I don't go lie for you. It may be sweet sometimes, so it be sweet sometimes. But you know, say when something is sweet you and that thing won't kill you, you're like saying you put too much sugar. Bro, it won't go make you die, you. If you dey smoke, if you're into drugs, breath will be the last thing that comes to your consciousness. I was chained, you know, hand and feet, both hands and both feet. I was chained. You're like, what's it happen? I never mad now. They say you don't be mad, bro. If I was that a person like me could stop it, I believe any other person who is into same addictions can as well stop it. Regrettably, my darkest moment was the day I stole from my mom. You know, not to feed, not to get anything good. I stole from my mom, who was a single mother at the time, you know, catching for myself and my siblings. I stole from her just to buy drugs, just to satisfy that urge. And I really got pained afterwards when I saw her crying, you know, lamenting, trying to know who took her money. The guilt was there. I knew I was the person who did it, but I couldn't just tell her because I knew I was going to do it again if I had the opportunity. So that was when I knew there was a problem. But to tell you the truth, it really broke me and I had to go and start seeking for help. And I was, you know, 26 at the time, almost 27. It's crazy. It's a crazy experience. No, I never did. I never thought so, because looking at my childhood and my early, you know, formation years, if I'd even to my early teenage age, if one should tell you that I could be addicted to something, even as bad as drugs, you wouldn't believe it, because I was the churchy kind of guy, you know, from the Christian home, Sunday fellowship, midweek fellowships, and the rest of them. But I was almost becoming a pastor at some point, so I never saw myself in that line. You know, in fact, I was even condemning and judging those who were in various kinds of addictions. I never knew I could find myself in such things someday. So, but yeah, I'm seeking for help. That's my reality. It began many years ago, just in one night I will never forget. You know, with a team of friends, you know, this youthful stuff, you know, trying to encourage you, just try to feel among. Take one drag, take one, just a little taste of it. And from one drag, it led to 2, to 3, to wraps, and before I knew it, it was something I couldn't live without. Okay, I started with cigarettes, normal cigarettes. From there, I moved on to Canadian Loud, Igbo. I moved on to Canadian Loud, then Eyes, and also Refnol. Okay, I think I would have to relax to answer this. You see, there is this certain kind of peace I got when I started, you know, moving into drugs. It tends to shut me away from my reality. And what do I mean? At a very early age, my dad left my mom. I saw my dad leaving my mom, you know, why she had to do some petty businesses to take care of myself and the siblings, and my siblings, sorry, and I happened to be the first child. It was a painful sight, but I noticed at some point that each time I take drugs, I tend to sleep. Maybe I do not feel the pains. I do not even, in fact, I happen not to be so conscious of my environment. So there is no reality around me that says, okay, something is bad at that time. But this is where it gets tricky, because I never knew I was trying to buy the happiness of tomorrow into today. And which means, as the saying will always go, if you eat your night's food in the morning, it means that at night you go hungry. So I was trying to buy the happiness of tomorrow into today. And as the day was going forward, if it should take one wrap of, you know, of the smoke for me to feel happy and at peace at this moment, it means that at the next moment I have to go for 2 wraps, because I was already used to one wrap, which means one wrap wasn't enough for me at the time. You know, and progressively it gets to 2, it gets to 3, because I was trying to achieve or attain a certain height of happiness, which was only conditioned in my mind to come through, you know, the abuse of these substances. It started with peace, but that peace was trouble and a lifetime addiction in disguise. It's painful. Okay. Well, at some point, I noticed I couldn't really focus on any other thing. My daily plans, my life pursuits, my career interests were all tailored towards making some money to satisfy that urge for drugs. It was like a movie, but bro, I don't go lie for you. It made it sweet sometimes, so it is sweet sometimes. But say when something is sweet you and that thing won't kill you. You're like say they take too much sugar. Now that kind of thing. So it was happening, and to me, even when I move outside to work, I was a very bright student in school. Funny enough, even when I move outside the street, sometimes to even do some menial jobs to support my mom. Sometimes I carry block, but even after I carry block money today, when I get back home, maybe I'm paid 5k, the day's job or so. I haven't worked overtime. I get back home, out of the 5k, mom see if you see 1k or 500 though. It's not drugs. It was that bad. That was when I knew this thing is not going to stop anytime soon. But as at that time you're consuming it, there's this happiness it gives you. But outside that, beyond that moment, I got to notice that my future was in a wreck. I wasn't doing anything good for myself. I had no good plans. I couldn't sustain a good relationship. I couldn't help my family. I couldn't help my mom. And the most annoying thing was that I was doing all of these things in the hide. And I was in control. And I could stop at any time I wanted. But I couldn't stop for so many years. Okay, the other things I ever did for drugs, I started lying to myself, telling lies to my mom when she got to find out, selling my personal belongings just to raise money for that, and also lying to even people that trusted me, faking stories just for them to lend me some money for me to go take drugs, lying to my mom that I was going to stop it, immediately. In fact, I was already at the verge of stopping it, not knowing it wasn't true. Like her herself not knowing it wasn't true, but these were the things I was doing. Sold almost all the important assets I had at the time just to fund the lifestyle. Die. Bro, it not go make you die, you. If you dey smoke, if you're into drugs, death will be the last thing that comes to your consciousness. That's why I said previously that it kills your reality. Death is a reality, of course, but it kills it to you. You're in full control of any world you found yourself. So I wasn't thinking about death at the time. I just felt this is something I wanted to do, and I could do it, and I could stop at any time I wanted to stop. And that was it. At some point, while still very much into it, one day I woke up in the hospital. Funny enough, I didn't know how I got there. I just woke up in the hospital. I saw my mom at my side crying. God bless that woman. She's been there all the while. I saw her crying, people around me, and I was like, what happened? Did I fall sick? The doctor came and told me that I was actually, in fact, I passed out. Let me use that language. I passed out due to the large intake of those substances. And you know what makes it so strange? I was chained, hand and feet, both hands and both feet. I was chained. They were like, what thing happened? I never mad now. They say you don't be mad though. So I was like, why? Because of the substances, I had to plead with them. I had to plead with the doctor, not to involve the authorities. I had to do that because my poor mom couldn't have taken care of me, and if anything could come up, and I was really serious about it. But it even reminds me, a friend of mine, a banker friend of mine, whom I loved so much, who introduced me into this stuff, or even made me go deeper into it. Shortly before I had that incident in the hospital, this guy had spent over 7 months. He was also rushed to the hospital, spent over 7 months in the rehab. He even lost his job in the bank. But with that drug spirit, I call it an evil spirit, I always felt like, guy, you don't fuck up, you don't know your way, now make them pursue you, you know they take this thing well. Yeah, they take my own way, so nobody can see me. That was my mindset until mine occurred. So with the way my mom cried bitterly, I wouldn't lie to you, women are strong. That tears really broke me, and I vowed within me that I think at this point I needed help. So that was the beginning of my, moving around trying to seek help from professionals and, people that could bring me back to track. Okay, there's this female friend of mine, more like a bestie, who knew I was into drugs. So when I had to confide in her, pleading to assist me, to come to my aid, she, due to the lack of cash, because I couldn't really afford it, so she referred me to one online, platform called Rehab Valve in Nigeria that could help a person like me, people of my type. So, and she paid for me, she paid for me to have sessions with them, where I met with the doctors, the psychologists, the OT, and over a couple of months, they had to take me through a couple of sessions. The longer you wait, the longer it takes you to recover. Seek help immediately from the people around you and professionals, and you'll be happy you did. The fact that a person like me could stop it, I believe any other person who is into same addictions can as well stop it. It's about determination, making up your mind, seeking professional help, and also the God factor comes in. The God factor also comes in. I'm so happy I took this decision, because your darkest moment doesn't always define your life. It could rather be, a stepping stone into a new phase of life that you get to enjoy. But you just have to make up your mind and seek professional help, and also with the grace of God attached to it, you'll be happy you did.